Hi, I'm Shubha Patvardhan, Associate Professor of Strategy from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. My work is titled Imagination, the Cognitive Microfoundations of Strategic Leadership. So my work explores the role of imagination in strategy making. Imagination is an underexplored phenomenon in strategy, although in business discourse we use it rather often and rather loosely. The term is rarely defined or understood. So what I do in this work is I primarily define the construct of imagination, and I distinguish between the different kinds of imagination. So I basically, defining imagination, I say there are mundane forms of imagination, which I call as incremental imagination, which I distinguish with from more complex forms of imagination, which I call as radical imagination. And I basically suggest how mainstream strategy discourse engages with incremental forms of imagination, and the more radical forms of imagination are understudied. So what I do in this paper is I especially look at one kind of radical imagination, which I call as moonshot thinking, where managers essentially imagine alternates to existing structures of reality. So what I do in this paper is most people probably haven't studied imagination because they also believe it's rather mysterious, right? So what I try to do here is I try to map the processual contours of moonshot thinking. In doing this, I actually draw from the examples of pioneering firms and pioneering leaders like, let's say, an Elon Musk or Patrick Brown of Impossible Foods, and I try to map the processual contours of moonshot thinking. So that's what my work tries to do. It demystifies the concept and the process of imagination. Why should we care about imagination? I think imagination, especially radical forms of imagination like moonshot thinking, is likely to lead to mainstream outcomes such as superior performance. Firms that engage in radical imagination are likely to have superior performance. They're less likely to be imitated by their competitors. But more interestingly, I think radical imagination is interesting because it gives an opportunity. It creates the possibility for firms to solve seemingly intractable social problems and be more socially responsible. So one of my arguments in this paper is probably firms are not as socially responsible, not because they don't care to, but because they don't have the imaginative capacity. So my paper tries to explore what it means to be imaginative.